What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to talk about Nvidia stock and break down some very important things about Nvidia. I'm going to talk about why it's going to affect the overall market, what you should be watching for as time progresses. But before I break anything down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit $500 to the account, you are guaranteed 20 free stocks. If you deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 free stocks, and the offer ends very, very soon. Anyways, let's talk about Nvidia. How is this thing looking? Well, from a technical standpoint, Nvidia is looking a little bit weaker, but we're still holding our support. So we'll have to see if 725 holds. If we end up losing that 725 area, there's going to be a risk of it dropping even more. We are looking a little bit weaker on the 4 hour, and at the same time, we have this range, but we showed some weakness on Friday based off our structure. So what do I mean by that? Basically, Nvidia is getting rejected off the low 740s. Basically, we keep getting these rejections, and we keep getting bought up around 725. It's been like this for the past 3.5 days, right? Right here, right here, right here. We reject off the 740 area, get bought back up, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But if you look at the price action on Friday, they pumped it during the pre-market to basically trigger these stops and then to also grab liquidity. And then after doing so, it hit this low, bounced off, made a lower high, and continued to sink and close just barely at 725, which is once again a sign of weakness because it started to downtrend just a bit on Friday. We're barely holding support, but we're showing a little bit of weakness right now. So there is going to be a risk of Nvidia possibly falling starting in the upcoming trading week. Starting on Tuesday. Don't forget the market's going to be closed on Monday, so we're going to be opening again on Tuesday. And this it may be a little bit weak, kind of like approaching Wednesday. So Wednesday is going to be when Nvidia announces its earnings after the market closes. So we have 2 full trading days until Nvidia announces its earnings. That's going to be very, very important. Now, Nvidia is the leader in AI development. AI is super, super important because it's powering many different industries out there, from generative AI to speech recognition, medical technology, supply chain management, and the list goes on. And we actually have a lot of examples of what NVIDIA is doing. So look at their new RTX 2000. This is going to be the new GPU that's available to their other partners. That's going to be very, very useful for developing different graphics, which could be used for art and things like that. So that's very helpful for people that are involved in that space. It's also helping to improve the metaverse. You can't forget about the partnership between NVIDIA and Meta, and also other things like that. So that's what's very important about NVIDIA when it comes to design. Also, when it comes to high performance computing, you can't forget about the importance of these computers to process data and perform very, very complex calculations and such. So it's joining with the National AI Research Resource Pilots. They're working together to develop AI. And this is going to be very important because in order to do so, you need a strong computer and you need very, very strong semiconductors. So they're developing everything together in a sense. And you can also see right here, it's very useful for gaming. That's another massive industry. We have the GeForce RTX that's come out, another GPU, which is very, very good for being able to process what's necessary for games and the graphics. You can see right over here, it's AI powered, very useful for applications and other things as well. This can be very, very useful for different laptops and all sorts of different things, from trying to process these graphics, even for like trying to watch movies. It can be used for so many different things, technically. And the AI industry, the full self-driving technology is very important as well. That is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and this is going to be very important for all sorts of different things. So they could help with performances, they can help with solutions, they could track data, and they can also use this to develop computers which are used to sense where a car is, recognize other cars, and do all sorts of things like that for FSD. So developing this technology is worth trillions in the future. NVIDIA is a big part of that. They're also a big part of robotics and different forms of computing. You can see right here, they're developing applications across healthcare, across manufacturing, logistics, and the list goes on. So there's so many things NVIDIA has its hands in: data centers, cloud computing, the list goes on. And that's what's so important about this company. That's what makes this so huge. Because what is this technology going to be without our chips? We need chips, we need semiconductors, we need the right GPUs, we need everything like that. So NVIDIA is essentially just partnering with these different companies which are involved in all these different industries, and it's helping to disrupt them. And this is a different way to develop AI, which a lot of people weren't really like thinking about, because a lot of people who initially thought of AI would oftentimes think about developing a humanoid robot and that's it. But AI can be used for so much more than that, from driving, computing, mechanics. It could be used for gaming, it could be used for just virtually anything. And that's what's the power of Nvidia. That's what gives this the industry changing view it essentially has. So what about their earnings? Because we know that Nvidia is known for having these capabilities and such. Well, one thing that's worth noting is that they had a record revenue in Q3 at $18.12 billion, a 206% increase year over year. And on top of this, their diluted EPS was around 3.71, or sorry, $3.71. And then their revenue was at a record for the data center. They absolutely crushed it. They also had very strong guidance of about $20 billion, and their balance sheet was looking pretty good as well, robust with cash, cash equivalents, and such. So that's good for them. Strong earnings, and we saw Nvidia essentially run. One thing you'll notice is when you look at the share price, right? If I zoom out and go to essentially the 4 hour time frame, let me just close this. Give me 1 second, guys. So basically, this chart is notorious for getting ready for massive, massive volatility. And what do I mean by that? Well, look at what this thing basically does. It has a very parabolic moves. It's very parabolic. It loves to run. Right here, for a couple of days, it was consolidating. Then we got a breakout and it just broke out here. Then what happened? Then it started to consolidate, kind of trade sideways here, was just getting very tight. And then we got another breakout, and this thing just continued to push and push and push. So now it's getting tight. It's tightening, getting, you know, uh, it's closing up, if anything. And now we're getting ready for a massive move to the upside or a massive move to the downside. That's what we're going to be watching for, at least for the chart. Now, I want to call out that the way it moves is going to be dependent on earnings. Some articles are saying that Jensen Huang and Nvidia are going to rock the markets this week. Some are saying it's going to cause the market to run. Other people have different views, if anything. There are other analysts coming out, and they're essentially saying some similar things about it. We're actually seeing some very, very big expectations for the stock. We have other analysts such as Christopher Rowland setting expectations for Nvidia, talking about why it's going to be comparable with that of like Amazon and such. So that's actually a very important piece of news, at least for Nvidia in itself. Now, just as a reminder, guys, I think it's go over this part real quick before I talk about the share price. There are a couple of things we have to know. Nvidia is going to be announcing its earnings, and in doing so, excuse me, the analysts expect revenue could more than triple from the same period a year ago. We're looking for a lot of growth, and we're going to be watching guidance. We're expecting the Q4 revenue to be $20.38 billion, diluted EPS around $4.18, and net income around $10.4 billion. So I hope Nvidia could break these. In my opinion, I think there's a very high probability they're going to beat on earnings. They're known for doing that, and I think it's going to most likely do that. But earnings are not going to be everything for the company. What's going to be more important is going to be their guidance. So I'm not too sure about their guidance. That's the only thing I'm not as confident about. I think they're going to beat on earnings, but I'm not too sure about guidance. We need them to raise guidance again or do something very surprising, because if they just barely meet expectations for guidance or they don't really change much, the investors may not be as impressed. So just be very careful. And the more time progresses, the higher the expectations of analysts are going to be. So just be very careful. Most of the tech stocks, big tech especially, had decent earnings or they actually ended up running after earnings. So that's for most of them, not everything. That's part of why the market is as high as it is right now, because what's holding the market up is, to some extent, it's just like tech, which has been holding up, different sectors so far. So I just want to call out that Nvidia could follow the trend, and there's a good chance it might actually hold up in terms of meeting expectations for earnings. But I'm personally not sure about their guidance. I think we have to just wait and see how it goes. As this analyst right here is saying, Nvidia could be the most important earnings in all of tech year to date, possibly the entire stock market, according to Jordan Kleen, the managing director of tech, media, and telecom for Mizuho Securities. I do agree. I think this is going to be a big one. It's going to affect how the entire market moves. So as far as Nvidia goes, let's call this out now. Just real quick, I just want to mention that right here, If I zoom out of the chart just a little bit like this, and I'll go to the 4-hour time frame, we could take an extended trend line, start like right down here, kind of like extend it to like right here as well. And we're gonna be watching to see if we get this little, if we continue to drop a little bit, especially if we lose this like 725 area. If we do lose this, we'll be watching this trend line right over here to see if this could hold. If we do lose this, there's going to be a risk of a bigger drop, but I'll be watching this going into its earnings. And then after earnings, what is Nvidia going to do in my opinion? I don't know, guys. I honestly don't know what's going to happen after earnings. It depends on their guidance. That's the biggest thing in my opinion. And I'll be watching for this. So if we get a big retracement on Nvidia, I'd be watching this 713 area. So 712, 713 kind of aligns with this yellow trend line. That's our 0.236 retracement area. But the 0.618 to zero point 0.5 retracement area is between 660 and 680. If Nvidia gets a massive rug pull, it is possible it comes all the way down there, if not lower. We could even break below 660 if we get a rug pull. If we're bullish, it could easily take off towards and get closer to about, it could get very close to 800 if we do get a very, very big move to the upside. So it could push as high as 800 in my opinion, or it could get a rug pull all the way down to 660 or below that, depending on how earnings goes. So be open-minded, guys. Don't be surprised by massive moves. The stock is expecting a big move looking at the current trend right now. So it's getting like really tight. Stocks get tight, they start to consolidate before a much bigger move. So it's going to be coming. And as far as SPY goes, okay, I want to call out something very important. SPY could be forming. It's either about to start a big downtrend, and this is like a double top like formation, or about to see a big rejection. Maybe we kind of like pop and grab liquidity and start sinking and sinking, sinking, downtrending all the way down to the 480s. Or, or is SPY about to form like a cup and handle like structure? Are we about to form like a cup and handle? Are we about to see this form like a cup and this handle over here, and then we just get a nice bounce and start pushing? I don't know, guys. I honestly don't know which one it's going to be. All I know is that we have to be open minded nonetheless, and not really let this get the best of us. So we could be forming a cup and handle. We could even come down to like 494 and then like bounce thanks to Nvidia. Or Nvidia could cause this thing to get a rug pull and we could see SPY start a downtrend, a bigger drop. Personally, guys, I wish I was a fortune teller, but I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know what's going to happen. So I just wanted to call out Nvidia. It's very important for this week. It's going to affect the entire market because of the AI hype and what it's capable of. So please keep that in the back of your mind. Have a great day, guys. Take care, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you, and peace out.